Ah, yes. Switch is a port machine. I've heard this beat of the drum, dating back to the launch of the Switch, when its major launch title was Breath of the Wild, a quote-unquote port of a Wii U game. I don't mean to dismiss the claims that Breath of the Wild is a port, by the way, as it's clearly a game that was built for Wii U and then ported over internally to Switch to become a launch title. Rather, I think we need to be careful when saying the port machine shtick started with Breath of the Wild, because we're talking about a day-and-date co-release of a game on multiple platforms. If that makes Breath of the Wild a consumer-level port job, then every multi-platform game in existence is a port. No? NBA 2K18 released day-and-date on Switch with Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC. Port! Port! Look at that! It's a port! No. Rather, I feel like the reputation really started about a month later when Mario Kart 8 Deluxe released. You see, if we take port at face value, any non-Switch exclusive title is technically a port. Same is true for a lot of Xbox One and PlayStation 4 games, even some PC titles. To know if this game is a port, you'd have to know which platform it was first developed for, as that's how game development works. There is a target platform it's made for, and then at some point it is ported to other platforms and appropriate fixes or changes are made to make it run well enough to launch day and date with other versions. Most of the time, anyways. So when we examine Switch closely to determine 100% that it's a port machine, I feel like we need to toss out any day and date games that also released on other platforms at the same time. That's not only unfair to the Switch as a platform, it's unfair to game developers as well. It's also something that all platforms have in common, so it's hard to use it as a mark of degradation against it. As such, when I say Switch is a port machine, I am talking about games that originally released on other platforms, only to later arrive on Switch. Some folks call these late ports, or last-gen ports, and any other variant of the descriptor port. But for our purposes, we'll just lump any game that didn't release day and date on Switch with every other platform a port. That's our definition, and we're going to stick with it as it fits every scenario that matters. So no, Breath of the Wild wouldn't be a port in this situation, but rather a multi-platform release. That doesn't mean Switch isn't running rampant with ports, however. Here are some of the most notable: Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, The Elder Scrolls, Skyrim, Doom, Lego City Undercover, Pokken Tournament Deluxe, Bayonetta 1 and 2, Rime, Stardew Valley, Yooka-Laylee, Rocket League, and LA Noire, technically, though all current generation systems got that game at the same time. Of course, there are a plethora of others. Many indie titles released on Switch late, because Switch simply didn't exist when those indie titles released originally. I feel like the list I just gave, however, is a pretty decent look at the ports that have currently released. Of course, we're not done, because we have other ports to look forward to as well, such as Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition and Dark Souls. Either way, those ports have all performed fairly well on the platform, and clearly show a desire for some Switch owners to rebuy games they already own, or to give people who never played those games a chance to do so now. Either way, those are the brunt of the games that give the Switch an undeniable sense of being a port machine. If this is where the story ended, I would understand why many people who own a Switch that also owned a Wii U, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, 360, PlayStation 3, or heck, even a 3DS, DS, or Wii may be put off a bit by what the Switch has to offer. Why buy a platform to play games you have already played and likely still own? But the story doesn't end there, and I think it's important to sit back and look at what games the Switch has that aren't your everyday port. There is Breath of the Wild, Splatoon 2, Super Mario Odyssey, ARMS, Super Bomberman R, Snipperclips and Snipperclips Plus, Golf Story, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, 1-2 Switch, Puyo Puyo Tetris, Sonic Mania, NBA 2K18, Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, Sonic Forces, and FIFA 18. Now, I'm not here to tell you that every game there is worth your time and money, and that some of those games aren't just simply better, if not equally good, on other platforms. That's not the point. The point is, that's a pretty nice list of games, 15 of them in fact, that have come out in less than a year that aren't your everyday port and or completely Switch exclusive. In fact, it's a larger overall major title list than the port title list I gave earlier, though we're obviously not doing a 100% fair comparison, as you'd have to actually include every ported indie title and every new indie title to get a complete look at the landscape. And with over 300 games on the Switch, yes, really, 300, we would be here all day listing every single one of them. I focused on what I felt were the biggest titles on the platform, and as you can see, I feel like the general mix of ports and non-ports has been pretty favorable. The reason I felt like now was a good time to explore this in the first place is the recent reaction to a rumor about Smash Bros. Coming to Switch this year. A lot of people are assuming it is going to be a port, a definitive edition style port at that, of Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS. And it's furthering this idea that Switch is a port console that isn't worth anyone's time if you owned those older platforms. However, I'd argue that not only is there plenty of non-port titles that have already released and are on the way, that having titles like Mario Kart and Smash get ported only just open the doors for even newer entries in those series much later in the Switch's life cycle, keeping the fan base and the Switch library refreshed for years to come. You see, sure, we got Bayonetta 1 and 2 ports recently. Payday 2 within days, and Dark Souls and Hyrule Warriors are coming up as well. But we also have a new Kirby game, Nintendo Labo as well, though I understand if that doesn't really appeal to you. We have a new Yoshi game and Fire Emblem that have also been announced for this year, and if we're going to react negatively about a Smash rumor, I guess the counterpoint is that new rumors and hirings are pointing to the brand new Pokemon game landing this year too. And this is before we talk about Bayonetta 3 and Metroid Prime 4, which have both been announced, but in my estimation are likely to be 2019 titles. And for a lot of people, some of this reaction is because with the combination of ports and new titles, we are seeing such a massive output of games from Nintendo that they assume Nintendo will take the easy way out and be lazy forever. I think it's a bit disingenuous to call Nintendo lazy for providing ports when you sit back and actually look at their game production over the past year. It's been absolutely incredible that one single company can produce that amount of quality new games while still having the amount of quality of ports they have had as well. Oftentimes, companies will port games in lieu of releasing new ones, but Nintendo has been consistently releasing new titles as well. As an example, while Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was a port, the Mario Kart 8 team created ARMS, a brand new IP on Nintendo Switch. Come on, that seems pretty interesting to me, and adds more to the Switch's library than simply another Mario Kart game. And I bet you the team behind ARMS, the Mario Kart 8 team, is already hard at work on Mario Kart 9, likely to release in a couple of years. Part of what likely also gives the impression of Port City and nothing else is the fact that AAA third parties haven't completely jumped on board. Other platforms get oodles of ports as well, with little complaint from their fans, because AAA studios are releasing new games on those platforms throughout the year, adding variety to the library. And this is indeed something the Switch will need to and hopefully can replicate over time. It's amazing we're getting Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus on Switch. I didn't even think it was possible personally. But getting it at what appears to be almost a year after the original release hurts a lot of the chance it had on the marketplace. And the game didn't exactly do gangbusters on other platforms as is. But, see, we haven't even entered the second year of Switch yet, since the 1-year anniversary is on March 3rd, 2018, and already people are trying to find ways to explain why Switch won't be relevant moving forward. And the thing is, I am perfectly fine if you are not enjoying your Switch. None of those exclusive or multi-platform games really matter if they don't interest you, of course, and Switch is simply not going to be a platform for everyone, despite Nintendo's marketing trying to make it sound like otherwise. I saw someone during a recent live stream openly proclaim they sold their Switch, and they felt great about that. And you know what? I'm happy for them. As consumers, as gamers, it is best we find the system or systems that best suit our gaming desires. For me right now, that's a combination of PC and Switch. For you, it might be PlayStation 4. For someone else, Xbox One. For another, 3DS. Heck, maybe it's also someone who just gets all of the gaming needs off of their phone. Reality is, it's okay to enjoy other systems and even be critical of Switch's library not having the games you want it to have. But we also can't do that and dismiss what the Switch currently does offer at the same time, and how calling it a port machine without recognizing everything else is doing the platform a complete disservice. And, well, really, Nintendo as well, for what has been an incredible level of game output that Sony and Microsoft rarely, if ever, have matched in any given year. Anyways, folks, I am Nathaniel Ruffledance from Nintendo Prime, and if you like this video, you know what to do, and if you dislike the video, hit that dislike button. Subscribe for more videos just like this, and as always, folks, I will catch you in the next one.